Invite? Now we invite the others.
Als u afscheid gaat wijzen.
Ik moet een vermeulen optellen.
Ich bin letztendlich.
Ich werde ein Buch von dem Wetter.
Cool, Mediterranea würde ich sagen.
Ja, ist so wirklich.
Hallo.
Hallo.
Ciao Beppe.
Ciao.
Ciao. Are we waiting for Sea-Watch?
Yes.
She is on the phone.
Hi,
Hey.
nice to see you all.
Good to see you.
How are you doing?
Good. No, we are good. I mean, I'm quite exhausted and tired, but I'm good. Yeah. And you?
Yeah, I'm also quite good. It was really nice weather today in Berlin, which is an exception in February or March now. So that was quite good. How are you doing?
Beppe?
Sorry.
No, I was asking you, Beppe. How are you?
I'm fine. I'm fine. Tired, but very happy for what's going on in Trapani.
Yeah.
Ui. Do you guys want to, like, I have my construction here. It's not really a safe space for my phone, but do you guys want to tell us, like, you just came out of court, no? Like, how did it go? How are you feeling now?
Yeah, so today was the last hearing. It was the last day of 4 days in a row. On the first day there was the prosecution, and then there was this surprising change of mind, and they were asking for dropping the charges. And then on the day after, our defense team started to deconstruct the case again, made a long 6 hours explanation going into the merits of the case again, but also they were also delivering a legal interpretation of the legal framework, what is what is in the end holding up the case, or in our mind, in our point of view, clearly speak in our favor. And then today was the last defense teams from the other defense, from the other accused who were there, and it was also super important and really interesting as well. So for me, the last 4 days was like a super nice lecture about sea rescue, about legal interpretations, about but also about the political levels, and so I'm really stuffed with all these informations. But it was really nice. And in the end today, the judge said he needs more time, so he ordered, or he decided to not decide today, but that he will take some time until the 19th of April to deliver his decision. That was the day today.
I mean, I don't know who joined us and who knows about like your case and who's sitting here in the round. Maybe we'll just do a quick introduction round. No, I don't know who's actually aware of who's sitting in the room and what's your case about actually. Do you want to start? And we'll just do a round.
Okay.
Go.
So I'm Sascha. I was part of the Juventa crew, and I'm also one of the 4 accused of the Juventa crew in this big and most complex trial against civil sea rescue, which took place in Trapani, Sicily. And yeah,
I'm Pia. I was also part of the Juventa crew. Actually, I was on board when it got seized in 2017 by the Italian authorities, and then for quite some years I was one of the 10 people of the Juventa crew that had these investigations running against them, but I'm not one of the 4 that actually have been accused, but yeah, still of course supporting the case.
Pepe, do you want to?
Yes, I'm Beppe. I'm member of Mediterranea Saving Humans, which is the Italian civil society platform. We are active since October 2018. So at the time when the Juventa case started, we didn't exist. Didn't exist yet, but of course, since the beginning, we are following the Juventa case, supporting as it is possible for some reason that I will try to explain later, that make the case in Trapani crucial, not only for the civil fleet, for the civil society organization active in the sea rescue, but more in general for the solidarity and for the idea of a society we want to live in.
And I'm Julia. I'm spokesperson from Sea-Watch, and just joining those guys to talk about criminalization and the Juventa case today. I don't know, maybe we'll start with like maybe a short recap, like why were you in court anyway? Like what happened, not only in Trapani, but also in the last couple of years? Maybe you can give us a short or shorter recap.
The next 8 hours are yours. You're the legal to it.
Yeah, I mean, yes, it could take 8 hours to explain everything, but I mean, to make it really short, the event was operational from summer 16 to summer 17, and we were one of the smaller NGO ships, like back in the day, Sea-Watch, CI, and Open Arms. So all these more the first responder ships on scene, and then there were other ships like from Save the Children, from MSF, who were more the bigger ships and making the transshipment and the transport to the harbors. And they are also with us in the trial, so we are not, Juventa is not alone in the trial, but also Save the Children and MSF. And basically, we had to stop our mission with the Juventa because the ship was seized in summer 2017, and it was based on, to make it really short, denunciation of fascist-minded ex-police officers who were they were member of a security company, and they were on board of one of the other ships from Save the Children, and they started to write reports about our missions because they didn't like what we were doing, and they had their own interpretation of the reality they were facing, and they said that they witnessed the Juventa collaborating with the engine fishers, with the so-called engine fishers, or then with the Libyan smuggling networks. And so they told their suspicions, not only towards the police stations, not only towards the Secret Service, but also they get in contact with Salvini and Di Maio, so the 2 leaders of Lega Nord and the Five-Star Movement. And of course, there was a political implication behind this. On the one hand, they thought, okay, they can solve the problem of the migrant route of the Central Med stopping all of this. That was their intention, politically speaking, but also personally, they thought, we can get something out of it. The one person wanted a position in the Lega Nord, the other person wanted to be back in the police service. So there were a lot of, also personal interests in this. And I think it was quite clear that in these days, when they started these reports, the police, the prosecutors, they really welcomed them, despite the fact that they were not like reliable, that it was really clear from the beginning that they were lying, that they were like constructing the case, but that was not in the interest of the prosecution to see this. So they just looked away and said, okay, but we have some witnesses, so we can start our the first real big criminalization efforts. And so during 8 months, they spied on us, they bugged our ship, they also bugged the other ships. They were sending an undercover agent to get even more evidences, so-called evidences about us. They bugged phones, they not only from the crew, but also from journalists, from priests, from lawyers. So they made a super huge surveillance effort and collected a lot of evidences. I think our case file is 30,000 pages and around 400 DVDs with all these interceptions of phones and ship conversations.
I think I saw a picture of Katrin standing next to like all the documents that were, or like some of the documents that were printed out. Could that be somewhere online? And it's this huge pile of documents, which is insane.
Yeah, it's really insane. Yeah. And no one, I mean, that was also something what we learned from the last days, that even the prosecution, it's such a chaos, it's such an amount of evidence, amount of information that even they never got really through all of these pages. That was quite hilarious. Yeah. So then, and then to end this historical point of view is in the end they constructed two cases around 2 rescue dates, and they were quite convinced to have evidence of us colluding with the Libyan smugglers in form. They say there was no distress case, but there was a handover. So the witnesses told them that there was a boat coming towards the Juventa, and then there was a handover, and then the boat was leaving again to the Libyan shore. And on the other occasion, they said that they have evidence of us giving boats, so boats we rescued before, giving them back to the Libyan smugglers so they can be reused. That's, in the end, that's all what they had. And then this was enough to seize the Juventa. It was enough to seize a fully functional operational asset what was needed in these days. So, I mean, the numbers of shipwrecked people were super high in 2017 summer, but nevertheless they thought, okay, we are taking the chance and seizing this vessel. Well,
where's the vessel now? Like, what did I do with it?
Like right after the seizure of the vessel, which happened in Lampedusa, the Coast Guard brought it to Trapani in Sicily, where since then it's just been sitting in the water. No one took care of it, so it's in a horrible state. There's a lot of growth, obviously, for the engine. Also, it's not a good thing to just sit for years and years and years. It's not being protected from the weather. Like usual maintenance that you have to do on a ship, like rust repairs and painting, that haven't been done. At some point, some people broke into the vessel, so it was also not in a safe, protected shipyard or dock. So it looks like shit, and it's unfortunately far from being operational. Actually, our lawyers, they were going against that, and then at least they got through now that the Italian authorities obviously have to give the seized assets back. Like if they have to give it back, it needs to be in the same state as it was when it was seized. But if that's going to happen, we don't know.
Okay.
But
So yeah, it sounds like I mean, how should they do it? Like, how can they put it back in a state of when they actually seized it?
Well, to put it right back into the state is going to be fairly impossible because there's also like a lot of damage that now is not done anymore with like a quick rust repair and a new paint job, you know, then like the steel plates or like the status of the engine or the electronics on board is majorly fucked, I think is the technical term I would use here. But yeah, at least they could put it into dry dock and have people that are not the authorities, I would prefer, repair that ship, at least that it's back in a state where it's seaworthy, and well, and then I guess someone else would have to put search and rescue equipment back on it. But yeah, it's going to be a big job, and as everything in this case has been so incredibly slow, like that's one of their major tactics, to just drag this out forever. Like it's so 2017 the Juventa was seized, and only 2018 we found out that there was these investigations against 10 crew members. That it was 21, I think. That then there was like, okay, then made the proper accusations, and then we knew it's these 4 people. Then it took another 1.5 or even 2 years for the trial to start, and now today has been the last hearing. Like, and from like the start of the investigations until today, that's like 8 years. And from the very beginning, they didn't have anything more than they have today. So it's quite clearly politically motivated to, you know, to take the ship off the water, have like the usual mechanism and principle of repression. It's like, I don't actually need to have a case. I can just throw so much shit at you that you'll be incapable of dealing with anything else, because it's taking so much time to prepare for this. It takes so much time to do the political work around it. It takes so much time to do the fundraising so we can actually pay our lawyers and be prepared for all of this. So in that perspective, they've definitely, like from their racist point of view, won a lot by starting the case. And no matter if even if it ends now, if the judge should decide on the 19th of April that yeah, this is finished and it's not going to go to the main trial, there's already a huge damage done, and not only to us, but like for the whole perception in the public of search and rescue. If you throw enough dirt, then something will stick. It also did change a lot of the operational modi operandi of pretty much all search and rescue NGOs. Like, you can really feel the legal pressure. It was like, for a long time, it was very hard to find crew that would still take the risk, especially people that have like these prominent positions, like a head of mission or captain, and that yeah, so many rules have been changed and then obeyed, because, oh shit, yeah, if we don't follow this, then we most likely also lose our ship and also have to deal with legal proceedings that will take many years to come.
Pepe, you were going to say something earlier, no?
But, I would like to highlight, to stress the historical moment in which the Juventa case started, because 2017 was a crucial moment in which the European policy of border management externalization, which began the year before with the EU-Turkey agreement with the Erdogan authoritarian regime regarding the situation in the Aegean and the Balkan route. This policy took shape for Italy in 2017 in relationship with the situation in the central Mediterranean area, and was exactly the moment when, more than before, the strategic choice of the Italian government to set up a strong cooperation with the Libyan militias started. Was the moment in which they prepared the memorandum of understanding between the Italian government and Libya, was the moment in which the policy of implementing the activities of the so-called Libyan Coast Guard, and we know exactly how many crimes, how many violations of basic rights of the people the so-called Libyan Coast Guard is doing at sea. And in the same time was the moment in which they structured the system, the official system of detention for migrants and refugees on Libyan mainland. And was also the moment in which they started to fight against the non-governmental ships at sea. Do you remember that was the period when the Italian Interior Minister proposed the code of conduct to the non-governmental organization? So it was quite clear that they need to target someone to show this new atmosphere, to show this new approach of the Italian government. This is the reason why I think correctly the lawyers of Juventa Crew underlined in court the political, the clear political motivation, the clear political instrumentalization starting this case in Trapani. And let's say this is the story since then of any attempt to criminalize civil rescue at sea.
Yeah, I think your last point, and also Pia, what you mentioned about like repression is not only targeted to actually have convictions afterwards. In many cases, like we know, they know that there will not be a conviction most likely, but it's about repression of people, about like implementing fear, no? Implementing fear so people don't. And I think like that's such a crucial point to underline, because Italy, but also all other European states, the European Union, they try on like in so many different ways, criminalizing, obstruction, hindering civil search and rescue as a tool now in the end to obstruct migration, because that's what we are. We are kind of like a tool to hinder and to like criminalize people on the move. And not the target probably per se. But if we look at the like historical also developments, there were so many different tools used. No, like with Piantidossi now, it's very administrative again. But with Salvini before, it was so loud, so violently, directly in communicating as well. But in the end, like we saw with the case of the Ocean Viking, now being released actually, and having a court saying, well, it might not be legal that this ship is detained because it does something that it is supposed to do, search and rescue of people in distress. But it just takes also so long to go this legal way of actually like clearly saying or clearly making a case of like, no, we're just acting in like a way like according to international law, which is already so conservative in our world.
Yeah, that's true, and I think the reconstructions the defense lawyers made, they quite clearly show that not as the prosecution was claiming that there's no political element in this case, no political implication, and also no impact. They clearly showed that the Juventa case was a kind of a tool to, first of all, change public opinion. So really, seek this the doubts, and but not only being used by politicians like Salvini and the Lega, but also the Austrian right wing and the German right wing. So I mean, they're all the same assholes. So they're using whatever they can get in this topic of migration in their favor. But also, like legally speaking, that one of our lawyers said that during the last years he was invited to a lot of conferences, and also in other cases, he always heard the argument, yeah, but there is the Juventa case, so there is something despite all the other cases who were closed quite quickly, there is the Juventa case, and we have to wait what is the outcome of this case, because there is something.
There wouldn't be a trial if it
Yeah.
wouldn't be, and
Something
like that's
like
the way
this.
it should be. Like if things go to trial, people like the prosecution should have their claimed evidence ready before you take people to court. This is nothing where after 8 years you should be like, oh yeah, no, actually it's like what they said all along. Like, well, we don't know if there's going to be a verdict yet, but of course it's quite relieving if even the prosecution says like, oh yeah, actually we don't have anything to prove whatever we made up. But that's not the way around it should be. Like first you should collect your evidence and then based on that decide if you want to bring it to court, because yeah, well, obviously not what happened here.
Beppe, with Mediterranea, you also faced quite some opposition of your work in the past couple of years.
But let's say that after the Juventa case, in general, we had more than 10 cases of investigation, of criminal investigations against civil rescue ships. In our case, for the Mare Jonio and the sailing boat Alex, we had 4 cases of investigation open, and 3 cases are already closed with the total acquittal of any accusations was for rescue operations in 2019. But we have still a criminal investigation open by the prosecutor of Ragusa on the Maersk Etienne case, and currently we are also in the beginning of the phase of the preliminary hearing. I think there are some elements in common in all these investigation is the huge amount of agents, resources, wiretapping, and all the possible tools of police investigation with, in most of the cases, a violation of the rights of the defendants, even beyond the Italian law in which cases. It was every time the attempt to force the boundaries of the law itself in order to push up such criminalization. But I think it's also important to remember the role played by this specific article of the Italian migration law, the Article 12, that is exactly aiding and abetting illegal migration. This article is the article used in all these cases regarding the civil fleet, but mostly is the article used against the people on the move. Is the article taking only in 2023 more than 350 people in jail, people who was on the small boat, rubber boat, wooden boat, trying to cross the central Mediterranean, and targeted as smugglers by the Italian police. Is a permanent attempt, is the more hidden face of criminalization, and you probably know the great work made by Captain Support, Porco Rosso, Borderline Europe, and other organizations denouncing this permanent criminalization of the people on the move. And this is also another strong struggle that we have to carry on in Italy. And then there are the administrative phase of this attack against solidarity that, let's say, is the last phase shown by the Italian state, particularly in the last 12 months with the Piantedosi decree law. Just one remark. In the last 6 cases of civil ships, civil rescue ships under administrative detention for 20 days and fined by the Piantedosi decree law, the motivation used in all the last cases is the refuse to cooperate with the so-called Libyan Coast Guard. So also in this case is clear the use of the Piantedosi decree law, not only not only to create obstacles to the civil fleet, but also the attempt to claim the legitimacy of the criminal attitude of the so-called Libyan authorities at sea, being let's say, the border police by proxy of the European Union and the European member state at sea.
Maybe just short note for everyone who doesn't know, the Piantedosi decree was implemented last year and now turned also into law, and it like has different rules basically for civil search and rescue ships to follow when they go out and do their work. And one of them is, for example, that they have to return to port immediately after one rescue, even though they might know about other distress cases in the area, and that means it clearly violates international law, because captains then like are supposed to directly go to the port of safety, the assigned one, and not rescue any further distress cases. And with this law, we saw, like in the last year, SOS Humanity did a report on it, that search and rescue ships were actually sent to ports that were 3.5 times around the world, more kilometers away than what they should have gone, because this decree was also released with a new policy, the distant port policy it's called, where ships are actually assigned port of safeties more in the north of Italy and not, for example, Sicily or more like ports that are nearer, just as a short explanation about that.
Yeah, and Beppe, what you said, I think this we cannot stress enough, that this whole criminalization of search and rescue is only happening because in the very first place it's criminalized and illegalized to be on the move, that it's impossible for people to claim the right of asylum within Europe, that there is no safe and legal passage for like the vast majority of the people that are migrants or refugees, and that the European Union is not shy of using whatever it might be the most brutal ways to stop this, by supporting and installing the so-called Libyan Coast Guard as this, like you said, by proxy border police, the budget of Frontex, trying to destroy and hinder search and rescue as much as they can. But like, yeah, in the very, very first place, it's people on the move that have the biggest problem by far from all of us. And also it's the numbers of people that are criminalized, that are put into prison, if it's in Italy or in Greece, for just being on a boat, or also in Greece, if they've been in a car, if they did a land crossing. Like, these numbers are humongous, and it's really horrifying how far this is going, and that how little it is seen in the public, how little it is part of any public debate. Like, I'm super happy, obviously, that we're talking about the criminalization of search and rescue. Like, I don't want any of my friends to go into prison, and of course it is really, really wrong. But we're just the second or third stage of the problem, and there's thousands of people that die because of these borders, and there's thousands of people that sit in prison without the access to networks, to money, without the safety of our passports. They just put in prison, and sitting there for years and they don't get, like, this trial was very unfair and there was a lot of procedural errors in there, but then, like, we have an amazing, highly professional legal team and we can go against that, or at least try to do that. But if you are a refugee, where and how would you find these resources to even try to get a fairer trial? I think this we should never forget, that that's the very base of the problem.
Completely agree. And I think we can't only have a look at Italy, but also in Greece, but also in Germany, in France, and Spain. Like, it's a European problem, it's a border problem, because the problems are borders and not people. I think, like, I was really wondering, like, I thought about what I want to ask you guys before, and I was wondering, like, next to the whole shit show that went on against you, like, what kind of, like, I also thought it's kind of like a thing of like standing together now as well. No, our talk is like just like a simple example, but like also kind of a story of solidarity, I hoped. So I was just wondering, like, maybe you can give us some examples. Also you, Beppe, like in the last years of like where do you see, where do you feel solidarity within the movement, for yourself, for others, because it's like what keeps us also going, no? What we have to like hold on to.
But just a few words. No, I think that currently in Italy, for example, we are facing a situation that is, let's say, ambivalent from different point of view. No, on one hand, you have this continuous attempt of brutalization of the border regime by the current right-wing government. But on the other hand, you have also a relevant response in the Italian society. Look what happened after the Cutro massacre, no? Because it's not a shipwreck, it's a massacre. Because we had the not intervening decision, not assistance situation by the Italian authorities on that ship, well known both coming from Turkey to the shores of Calabria. But in that case, and in several other cases, we had a relevant capacity by the Italian society to answer in this moment when we are talking together. There is thousands of people in Ferrara, a small city in the region Emilia-Romagna, marching against the idea to open a new detention center for migrants in Ferrara, and exactly on this situation of the detention centers all over Italy. We had in the past months relevant mobilization supporting the people on the move and refusing this idea of detention without crime, detention only motivated by administrative reason, only motivated by the lack of papers, the lack of ID documents and permit of stay. So I think that we are sure in a very difficult situation, but also the outcome, the ongoing outcome of the Juventa case as the other judge decision that you, Giulia, mentioned before, like in Brindisi or in Catania against the migrant detention and the request of money by the Italian government to free the migrants from the detention center, are relevant signals, are relevant spotlights that are showing that it's possible to resist, it's possible to build alliances, networks of solidarity, and it's possible also to win against these criminalization attempts.
Yeah, I think our experience with the event is really like there are a lot of levels of solidarity, and it was starting. I think I have to start because that's for my personal, for my personality, you know, for my personal situation as an accused one. It was so important to have my comrades, my close friends, and so many close supporters, like really right around me, supporting me, but also the other three defendants, not only with support in media work, advocacy, money collection, all of this, but also a really crucial care work of like being there for each other, and having the room for discussion, for also depressive time, but then also like shearing together others and ourselves and holding up the strength to resist and to go on. So that's a super important level for people who are accused, to have this network around and the support. That was super important, and thanks to all the people who supported me and the others. And then on the big broader level, more broader level, the movement of the civil sea rescue were always there. So any request of having a soli party or having a tweet or a discussion, an event being named and always like displayed and discussed the event case. It was so important to be always have the feeling that the people remember, that it's that the people realize the importance of the case and the political implications and the impact it had. Then of course solidarity. I mean, it's a different level, but our lawyers. I mean, to have good lawyers. It's such a crucial point, and our lawyers are not only good lawyers; they are also super caring and in different ways of solidarity, standing in solidarity with us, helping us out in so many other ways than only on the legal path. Of course, family, friends, the neighborhood, the colleagues at work. There were always a lot of like really positive experiences in solidarity. Yeah, I think that was for the event the crucial moment or the reality what surrounded us, and without all of this, we would not I would not be here in the same kind of shape and strengths I have. Yeah, super important.
What do you think, Pia?
Yeah, I totally agree with like what has been said before. It's with other NGOs or people like from the border movement. It's also been a lot of hands-on help that we got, like the sharing of contacts, the use of office spaces where we can meet a lot of people that helped us brainstorming when everything just started off for us, and like how are we actually going to face this, how are we going to get organized, what is our political aim. Like there was a lot of brain power from a lot of different people that were not part of the Juventa group, but that more than happily helped us to find our way through all that. Or like if it's like shared media context, or can you please repost this because no one knows yet who we are when everything started. And yes, it was a really nice mix of like this emotional support. Then of course it just feels really good that politically you're not standing there alone. There's other people as well that understand that this is not a humanitarian crisis, but this is a political crisis created by the European Union against people on the on the move. Like, then that really helps to not feel that small and alone when all of this is going against you. So yeah, that was very empowering, or still is.
It also, just to add this, because we were so nicely and so good supported, we had also a quite privileged position to give solidarity also back, you know, to support others, to support not only other rescue NGOs, to name them, to always point out that the civil sea rescue has not stopped, but despite all the criminalization efforts, they are still out there and it's going on, and we will not be intimidated and stuff like this. But also to what we mentioned before, highlighting, pointing out always that the criminalization cases against migrants are even more, not with any kind of attention. And so we supported them. We had the chance also, because of this amount of donations, we were able to travel to other cases, and some of us witnessed it in court for the others. So there was a network and also a giving moment from us, and that's also super important.
I don't know which cases you meant, but like if like you guys who are listening or watching want to follow any of like current campaigns supporting people on the move that are being criminalized without so much attention, then you can follow, for example, the Free Humayun campaign, Pylos 9 with the Captain Support Network, then of course also El Hibru 3, which are being criminalized since years as well on Malta. So yeah, it's really important for all of us to put as much attention, even more, on people on the move being criminalized in European countries, and not only in the Mediterranean region, but obviously also on the so-called route, for example, where even less attention is at the moment on the green border, where people are still fucking dying, freezing in winter, not having enough support, and being pushed back until they can't try again to reach safety.
Yeah.
Cool.
I think for the moment I ran out of questions. Maybe you guys still, if not, I think we're also talking since a while.
I would like to highlight one point. Beppe mentioned it, that you know, using decriminalization in a certain point to turn it around, right? To use not only the stage in the public to spread the word, to always speak, to be present, to try to highlight the reality in the Central Mediterranean, but also fighting back on a legal level. And I think that what makes me so happy, the outcome of the last 4 days, that we made some, I think, hopefully also historically, like speaking, like winning points in this case. We really set up some really strong arguments during the last 4 days, and we were first of all countering the narrative, the reasoning from the prosecution, who basically said the crime was there, but there is a doubt that the accused made it intentionally, and that's why they don't want to go to main trial. I mean, that's absolutely unbefriedigend. It's
Unsaid.
yeah. So yeah, exactly. And we want to go further because we want to the recognition that there was no crime at all, but that there was a right to rescue, and there was a need to rescue. There was a state of necessity, and people took the responsibility to answer to this. So this is, I think, that was the main effort of the last 4 days. But not only, because we used our trial to highlight other problems. It was first of all the problem of translation, so the right of a defendant. It was quite crucial in our case that we could use our privileged position to point out always again and again that translation is not, that the translation provided by the court was not enough, not even for us Germans. And
imagine for others.
Yes, so that was crucial, but also our our lovely lawyer Francesca Cancellaro, she tried to counter, to attack the legal framework of this Article 12, using our case, but targeting the whole discipline and try to dismantle what is so toxic for others. So, and we didn't have the success in our case, but the arguments from our case were then used in another case, and there it was recognized. And now our complaint against the Article 12 about this whole construction of aiding and abetting illegal immigration is now at the Court of Cassation and at the European Court of Justice. So I think we were able to kick off some destruction of these toxic legal frameworks. And today, what was really the really nice ending point of everything was, and it reminded me that we're always saying as a kind of a speech, make solidarity a threat again. And today, it became a bit reality, because in the end, all the defense teams, they signed a complaint, or we requested that the judge order the prosecution to lead an investigation into our case in order to find out if police agencies or other people were putting misleading information inside our case, maybe constructing stuff in order to uphold the case for so many years. So we're also asking for legal reliability from those who are running these cases, and we don't want to let them off the hook. We don't want to, let them go at home and sleep well. So really, I think they have to take the responsibility to what they done, because they seized the functional rescue asset, and that's the core problem of everything. They seized the functional rescue asset, and people died because of this. And we should never forget this.
This is really a crucial point. Is what we name an offensive use of the law. That means it's just the example, no, you gave with the Brindisi case with Ocean Viking and the application of the Piantedosi decree law. No, it's clear that they are trying to legitimize deportation to Libya. But we can use these cases, also the cases involving our ships, to prove exactly the contrary, that Libya is not a safe place, that Libya cannot be a port of disembarkation, that all the horrific violations happening in Libya are ordered and realized with the complicity of Italy and other EU member states. And then, let's say, to reverse the cases, to reverse that situation. This is also one of the reasons why there are such attempts to stop our ships. Not only because of the numbers of people we are able to rescue at sea, but because being at sea with our ship, we are permanently watching, monitoring, witnessing, which are the outcomes of the deadly European migration policies at sea. We are collecting a huge amount of documentation, which are at the same time the evidences on how really criminal are such state policies.
Yeah. And maybe to add the last sentence, because the lawyers, they said it so often in the last 4 days that the Juventa case was a leading case in this criminalization effort. It was used as this argument to go on and to go on. And we really hope that the Juventa now becomes a leading case against the criminalization. and that we really set a lot of points where they cannot ignore this anymore, and that we are not. We will not change the history back. We will not, the people died, so they are lost anyway, and that's super horrible. But I think, yeah, let's hope for the future that the seizure of the event, the court case, the long years of limbo and waiting, that they have at least a political impact somehow to the positive side.
I guess that were good last words. Thank you, like a lot. Thank you a lot for telling us about like the last couple of days, but also about the last couple of years, and being there and standing there. Thanks, Beppe, for joining as well. And I mean, I hope you have a good rest of the evening, because at least now you don't have to return back to court tomorrow.
Thanks so much.
Thank you, Pia. Thank you, Sascha. Thank you, Julia. Thank you, Juventa crew.
Thanks both of you.
Ciao.
Have a lovely evening. Ciao.